AirsoftGI would like to thank our sponsors.
All right, so here we are with Jim, the president of SOTECH. Thanks for inviting us down here, Jim. And I have to say that the last time I saw an office this intricately decorated was when I was visiting Blizzard. This is a really, really cool place to work.
Thanks. It's kind of an inspiration. When I set the business up, I've set it up off of military concept. And one of the things I've always been fascinated with, it really got me into this, is development of weapon systems through the ages. And I've always seen that civilizations always put their best thought into defense. And so it's that tip of the spear, it's that life or death situation. And after the Victorian age, you get into other areas where you've put your best minds. But prior to that, and what's fascinating to me is what's the mindset? What was the mindset that we had when we developed the internal chest mag?
Yeah, you're showing all of this, the progression of it on your wall, right?
Exactly. So I like my entire factory is lined with walls like this. I like the thought. What was going through somebody's mind when they had a spear and they wanted to add a hook to it to pull a guy down off of his horse? What was that moment, and how did they react to it? And of course, what did their government think? What did the general think? What did the supply guys think when they said, "Let's do this"? We have the same thing. When I'm talking to a SEAL, an LAPD bomb guy, anything, I get that same conversation, and so it's played over and over and over throughout history. And so it's fascinating for me to look at how it was done back then and how we're dealing with it today, and then how we're going to deal with it in the future. What were the influences? You get into some of the stuff like headgear, and the reality of headgear being protective to more intimidative to more really fashion. And we're actually breaking into the urban fashion industry at this point. We're looking at the demographics, we're looking at the influence, we're looking at public opinion, the way people look at the military, the way people look at soldiers, the way soldiers look at themselves. I mean, a lot of this stuff is functional, but a lot of it just looks badass. It looks intimidating.
Definitely.
And that's part of the paradigm. And do you want to carry that when you carry this piece of gear? When I design a piece of gear, let's all be honest, we focus on the functionality. And I can't tell you how many times I've been beat out because another piece of gear looked cooler. And I had one officer walk up to a table at a trade show once, a medical show, as a medical doctor, and he picked up a ACU pouch. This is when ACU camouflage just came out, and said, "Wow, this is great, we need to get these." And he turned to me and said, "What is this pouch for?" So he'd already made the statement to the NCO standing next to him just because it looked cool. So it's the shiny kit factor. So it's what makes this job fascinating.
Okay. So you mentioned going into more urban clothing in the future, but what about your background? Tell us about you.
I spent most of my career in the special operations end of the military. So obviously I can't go into too much in depth on that. But I'm a major currently in the reserves and got a couple more years in. I started off the company, I got malaria while I was overseas and realized that with malaria I wasn't going to be kicking a lot of doors in. Every 6 weeks getting a relapse is a butt kicker. So what I did is I got into an interest, and my interest was load carriage, was how to carry this better, how to parachute with that, how to fast rope with that.
At what time frame was all this taking place?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's mid-90s.
Okay.
And 1997 I officially formed the company. So for about 3 years prior to that, I was designing bags and selling them to guys on my team, trading them to guys on other teams. And I just realized I should be making a business out of this. And I got into the, I ended up in a reserve unit in Los Angeles, and a number of my soldiers were also police officers. The B of A shootout happened in 1998, and what was fascinating is I just happened to be in the right place designing police gear but having a background in tactical. And I was able to take the information from the tactical side and apply it to the police side, and LAPD officers were needing shotgun carriers, thigh-rig, clip-on rigs that were still police-looking but tactical in response to that terrible incident that happened. So we were there, we were able to apply the concepts, and that's been been the lifeblood here. I'll be talking to a bomb technician one day about mounting a tool rig on his wrist, and then I'll have a medical guy come in the next day who will be asking, where can I put this? And I'll say, well, why don't you put it on your wrist? So it's neat cross-pollinating and having such a wide variety of customers, whether it's a sniper, whether it's an intelligence operator or a camera operator, whether it's a search and rescue team, taking the challenges that they have and incorporating them into the design that we have on the table, and then being able to apply that across the board into other areas. So it's really just a neat focal point to be at in the industry.
That's really cool. SOTECH is a name that I've heard of a little bit, but I think that I've heard a couple of the employees say this is the best company you never heard of. And you guys have been around for so long, you're involved in a lot of different industries.
Yeah, it's because of my background within the military. I come from a tight-lipped area, and so one of my friends told me that I run my business a little too tight-lipped. But yeah, everybody in Special Operations Command got issued our medical rigs all the way up through the medical suite. So everybody in SOF, SEALs, Rangers, SF, has gotten issued our satchel bags, our go bags. They've gotten issued our medical gear, and yet people associate a lot of the other names. And so we just smile about that. But at the same token, I tell people my problem is I don't think about advertising the fact that we designed this rig, because I'm already on to 3 other rigs. And right now I'm developing a parachute system for the 82nd Airborne. I mean, I'm thinking more about that than how I'm going to tell people about the design that I just put out. And we get into like the internal magazine slot system. Ironically, I developed that with a group of people. I can't really say who. And I actually had we showed that to the Marine Corps, and I had an officer tell me how messed up the design was, and how it's going to allow dirt to get into the magazine slots, and that's going to get into the magazines and kill Marines. And about 6 years later, the Marine Corps adopts the TAP, which looks very similar to the design this Marine officer had told me was going to kill Marines. And what can you do? You can
complain about it or move forward.
Exactly. And so we're always moving forward. We have always got a new design. I've got a couple new designs just on the table over there. I'm constantly, everywhere I go, I'm looking for a new challenge. And that's neat because within our circle, it's a circle of people who are fighting those challenges. And it's just a great group of people to interact with, whether it's my friends at DEA and FBI or LAPD. We're doing a system with SIS right now, which is really cutting edge law enforcement. It's pivotal changes into the next era of law enforcement that a lot of these folks are developing. And it's just neat to be sitting at that table with those minds.
Indeed, definitely. Well, I definitely am interested in moving forward and seeing more of your company.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming down and being interested. It's like I said, we're a quiet company. It's we got a lot.
We were stoked to get the call. I mean, we don't, most of the time when we communicate with the companies that we do business with, and we ask them if they want to come on camera, like, no, we don't want to be on camera. They're a little camera shy.
I'll honestly, we're a transparent company, but that's because we really have nothing to hide. And I'm not going to knock on other companies, but we're American made. You can come in here, you can see our sewers making the stuff. You can see the staff. You can see our design room where we're designing it. So other companies, they may be buying a product and taking it to China and having a copy made. But we have, it's neat because you can come in and interact with our designers. You can interact with our engineering shop. Our marketing team is sitting right here, so it's really kind of neat. But we're ISO certified, which is in industrial standards, which means we're held to the highest level. So if you were building a parachute harness or we're building an aviator's vest, the quality has to be up there. Everything has to be marked off. And I started this in a garage, 16 years ago. It was piles of gear, and it was fun. It was dummy guns and spent flashbangs, and here, try this pouch here, let's take this pouch off this, cut this off here, slap that on there. It was just creative. And now we've gotten to a point where we're doing tens of thousands of pouches and bags and vests, where we have to have everything no clutter. Everything has to be efficiency. Process has to be managed, and at the same time, we have to stay competitive. We have to stay on that creative cutting edge, which is why I try to inspire. I try to keep my guys and girls. We have a great team of people here, but we like to go out to the range. We like to go to different events. We like to keep their minds sharp and keep them invested in what's the next level we can take the products to.
Can we see some of the processes through?
Sure.
Cool. Let's go and do that. So, Jim, this is the conference room. How do you get any work done in here?
Well, if my staff are going to listen to me droning on and they're going to start to daydream, I'd rather have them daydreaming about gear than daydreaming about something less important or whatever her name is.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that the company is decorated like this. What sort of inspiration do you draw from these uniforms and armor?
Well, I'm fascinated with the heavyweight versus the lightweight, the compactness. You went from a full suit of armor to scaled armor to the middle of the 1800s. They're still wearing cuirassier chest pieces. The height, the attempts to enlarge the image to intimidate. And then you get over here, and one of the fascinating things that we've really been big on is the go bag concept. Back in the mid-90s, we developed a concept of having bags attached to my rucksack that I could pull out and leave the pack behind but throw them on. And during this conflict, Special Operations has really embraced what they're considering a new idea, that hey, we're always within a kilometer of our gun trucks. So instead of having all of our stuff man-portable on our back, we can take a third of that stuff, put it on us, and put the other 2/3 on and leave it on the truck. And then when you get into a situation, you can say, hey, we need a breaching charge. You run back to the truck, grab it, and bring it back here. We need advanced airway. Okay, you go back and get that. And it's been great. It's been a cornerstone of our industry, our program here, to develop the go bag, which it's turned into satchel bags and small packs, and people think, okay, well, SOTECH makes a lot of packs, but it's really a modular system, and we're looking at things system-wise. So you can have a pack that you can insert things into. And I mean, you go into the cavalry days, and this is a Custer's era McClellan saddle. How did they fight back then? You had the cavalry rode up, everybody dismounted. 1 out of 4 guys stood back and held all 4 of the horses for his group, and the other 3 guys went forward in a skirmish line and started shooting. And when they needed more ammunition, 1 guy ran back and they pulled the saddlebag off, and he ran forward with the saddlebag. So it's kind of neat to look at history. You got into like the Zulu Wars, where the Brits actually have this leather harness is like a reverse bra, and they're trying to keep the back clear so they can wear a backpack more comfortably and support the weight of metal cartridges on their front. So, and we're dealing right now, we're working with an orthopedic surgeon to try to make our work on our contoured pistol belt to support the weight and to relieve the lower back. And so it's neat to trace these issues through history.
It's been said that the whole company, or your first design, was a messenger bag or a bag of some sort, and is that it?
Yep. Like I said, we really get into the go bag concept, and one of our first bags was a satchel bag, and we wanted was something that you could put a survival kit in, or you could also go with I like the dual purpose stuff. So in the field, be survival ammunition. But in garrison, realizing most soldiers spend 80% of the time in garrison, you put your manuals, you put your binders and things like that into there. And then we had a removable map case. So when you're in the field, you use the map case. When you're out of the field, you can pull that out. So again, I always want to dual purpose something. If someone has one bag and it doesn't have 2 to 3 purposes, it ends up being kind of dead weight.
Gotcha.
So yeah, this is the history of SOTECH. We started off here. This was one of our first bags. When I was in service, I started sewing pouches on other people's vests and packs.
You sewed this by hand?
By hand. I did that one by hand. At Fort Knox, I sewed that. I destroyed about 8 sewing machines in the morale, welfare, and recreation office at Knox, sewing that harness and that harness. And from there, it's been neat. We expanded into law enforcement. We moved into tasers. The B of A shootout was huge for us. When we started off, I was in a local reserve unit, and a lot of my guys were LAPD and LA sheriffs. B of A shootout came out, and I just happened to be in that right place at the right time, being a guy with tactical background applied to law enforcement. And so we took the ability to attach quick clip-on rigs for shotgun ammo and pistol ammo, which is what they were missing at the B of A shootout, and that took us to that next level. And then having that quick clip-on concept for a patrol officer came about when, as a requirement, when they came with the tasers. You have a taser that looks like a gun, and you're putting it on the belt, and they're either going to put it on this side as a cross draw, or they're going to put it on a thigh rig. Problem is, it feels like a gun, so they had a handful of shootings where the officer actually thought he was reaching for his taser, but grabbed his lethal weapon and shot the suspect inadvertently. So us being able to take the taser holster, put it onto our clip-on thigh rig, that took us to the next level. We got thousands of orders, LAPD, LA sheriffs, Portland, Honolulu, and went nationwide. So that took us to our next level. Then our next level after that was when the DNC riots came to Los Angeles. And that was fascinating. You were sitting at a table with the LAPD's top brass and firearms instructors and tactics instructors discussing basically Greek phalanx type warfare, because the rioters were professional rioters, and they were going to come in and they already had their battle plan, and listening to the LAPD determine how they were going to engage and rewrite the riot control manual to civilly and peacefully control a group of people. Exactly, with fencing, with non-lethal, is fascinating just to be sitting at that table. And of course, we got into more less lethal, more non-lethal, more riot control, and that took us to yet another level. And then that's when we got really into the medical. And I was cross-trained in the special operations area. I come from a medical family, so we understand when someone says, I need a pack where I can open it up, I want to be able to get into a nasal pharyngeal, I know I need to get into ET tube. We know what that is. And I know the importance of being able to grab a tourniquet before grabbing a chest compression tube. Okay, so I want to be able to provide that knowledge. Rangers picked it up, SF picked it up, and went all the way up to the top of USASOC and said, hey, look, this company is making so many good custom designs for everybody. Let's just make it one system overall. And that's where SOCOM adopted us. Our IFAC, we've probably done about 40,000 individual first aid kits for everyone in SOCOM. And then we were kitting them. We were using our veterans program over the VA hospital to kit the actual bags, which is actually kind of neat. It's part of their therapy. And so that's where we really got into the big numbers, big quantities, and from there we've launched into other areas: jet pilot vests, parachute drop bag systems, scuba rigs, clandestine systems. Sky's the limit, because it's fun. It's nylon. It's quick to build, quick to design, and it's creative.
So this is the beginning of the company. Is there anything outside here in the office that you can show us where it's going?
Sure, come on out.
All right, here we are in the office, and we have the latest from SOTECH right here. Right? Is this?
That's next gen. That's Gen 5.
That's too far forward.
It's a return to the circle. Okay.
All right. No, what we're really going to talk about is this. Obviously, this is the Viper plate carrier.
Right. Basically, you're seeing body armor evolving, and again, we try to do everything in systems. So we're working with evolving our medical systems, our belt systems, our plate carrier systems into a self-supporting system. So we have everything from just the basic front and back plate carrier, which is Viper, all the way to this system, which shows every conceivable iteration of it. On this particular one, you've got the releasable, where when you pop this releases here and here, but not here and here. So it stays hanging on your shoulder, so the rig can slide off.
Yeah.
But in order to get it mounted back on, it's a simple Fast-X
Clip
clip.
it back into place.
Exactly. So you don't have to run a cord. So both that gives you simplicity for remounting, but it also means you only have one system instead of two systems, which takes up space and takes up weight. We have another version which has a the same system, but has the pistol holster mounted in here, and that's something we I don't want to say we innovated, but we worked very closely with SOCOM Elements, who were carrying the pistol laterally here to draw the weapon out and run it down the length of the barrel and then fire from there. I know a lot of people go from here, but the actual, the serious shooters would go from here out. So integrating the pistol, a release system, the 3 integrated mag slots, again, that's our patented design, and we did this about 5 years ago, adding this onto this. The plate system, when you get into adding on pieces, these pouches here are added on in shingles, layering, instead of on a cummerbund that actually, when the cummerbund comes around the front, that keeps the pouches actually layered off the body. This keeps
all that layering on top of each other.
Exactly. We're trying to keep this as tight and as compact, and that's basically what our soft elements are asking for. Now this goes into everything. We've got a removable padded system here, so if you want to add padding, you can do that. The padding is removable. The belt, here we have our contoured padded pistol belt, which can accept a survival kit in there and can accept body armor in it. This has a removable plate support system. Half of our customers say, "Hey, we want that. We want we got guys who want the belt support." The other half of the same team says, "This is getting in the way when I'm laying on my belly. It's pushing up in the head. It's stupid. I want it gone." So instead of going one way or the other, we made it removable. So our system, you can just pop it off. We integrated the flat IFAC. My original concept was putting it up here on the plate, but I made it modular and dropped it down here so you can slide it out. So that's another one of our patent pending designs. This is a solar panel system where we have solar that can actually run the batteries off the radios, your laser rangefinders, the whole 9 yards. So it's a full-blown kit which acts as an entire system. We see a lot of people, a lot of programs, they'll just put out a plate carrier. Another one put out a backpack. Well, if the backpack doesn't integrate perfectly with a plate carrier, what's the point? So everything we do, we try to keep in mind all the other systems that we're fielding, so that not only can a shooter use this, but a shooter medic or a shooter breacher can integrate the same systems.
That is really, really cool. I really appreciate you showing us around your company and definitely giving us the insight on the Viper system. Thanks a lot, Jim.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming up.
No problem.